Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast. And today, I'm going to go my review of AEW's Dynamite. Starting off tonight, we got Jon Moxley taking on Speedball Mike Bailey. I thought it was a decent match. Back and forth matchup between Moxley and Bailey, with Moxley keeping the pace of the match. Moxley and Bailey both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Marina Shafir attacking Speedball Mike Bailey ringside. Kevin Knight comes out to the ring. He gets face-to-face with Jon Moxley. This allowed Bailey to hit a moonsault to the outside, taking Jon Moxley out. Bailey then hits another moonsault knee drop off a barricade on Jon Moxley, followed by Bailey hitting a running shooting star press on Moxley in the middle of the ring. Bailey then goes to the top rope, hits another shooting star press on Moxley for a near fall. Bailey then hits another moonsault knee drop. Darby Allin is here. Darby attacks Wheeler Yuta, takes Yuta away. This allowed Moxley to hit a Death Rider on Speedball Mike Bailey, pins for the 3. And your winner of the match is Jon Moxley. Hats off to Jon Moxley for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have a Fatal 4-Way match where the winner will move on to a TBS title match at Forbidden Door. It is Alex Windsor taking on Queen Aminata versus Sky Blue versus Billy Starks. I thought it was a decent match. Back and forth matchup with everybody involved, with Windsor keeping the pace of the match. Windsor then hits a Blue Thunder Bomb in the middle of the ring, followed by Windsor hitting a Power Bomb for a near fall. Windsor and Queen Aminata both exchange in the middle of the ring, followed by Toni Storm attacking Athena ringside. This allowed Windsor to hit a roll-up, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match, and moving on to the Fatal 4-Way matchup for the TBS title at Forbidden Door, is Alex Windsor. After the match, Mercedes Moné, she comes out to the ring. Moné and Windsor get face-to-face. Athena then attacks Toni Storm out of nowhere, and Moné then hits a backstabber on Alex Windsor, pretty much sending a message to Windsor leading up to their match at Forbidden Door. Moving on from that, we have Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher comes out to the ring, grabs a microphone. He's there with the Don Callis family. Don Callis talks about building the biggest faction in professional wrestling. Don talks about Okada joining the Don Callis family and what it means to Don Callis. Fletcher then mocks Dustin Rhodes as well as Adam Cole. Fletcher says that he will be the greatest TNT champion of all time. After that, Don Callis presents Fletcher with a oil painting, pretty much celebrating Kyle Fletcher's win for the TNT title. Fletcher then says that he will defend the TNT title on Collision this Saturday, and looks like he's going to go up against Tomohiro Ishii this Saturday, defending the TNT title on Collision. So definitely looking forward to that match. Moving on from that, we got a tag team matchup in the tag team tournament semifinal, where the winner will move on to face FTR in the tag team finals, where the winner of that match will face the Hurt Syndicate at Forbidden Door for the AEW tag team titles. It is the Young Bucks taking on Brody King and Bandito. I thought this was actually a really good match, probably best match of the night. Back and forth matchup between the Young Bucks and Brody King and Bandito, with Brody King and Bandito keeping the pace of the match. Bandito then hits a moonsault to the outside, followed by Bandito hitting a frog splash off the top rope for a near fall. Nick Jackson gets involved by hitting a Canadian Destroyer in the middle of the ring, followed by the Bucks hitting a TK driver for a near fall. Brody King then hits a devastating Death Valley driver off the apron on Mac Jackson. It looked absolutely brutal. Bandito then gets in the ring, hits a 21-plex for a near fall, followed by Bandito hitting an avalanche fall-away slam type maneuver off the top rope for a near fall. And Bandito hits the finish, pins for the 3. And your winners of the match, and moving on to face FTR in the finals of the tag team tournament, are Brody King and Bandito. Hats off to Brody King and Bandito for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we got a Swerve interview with Renee. They are standing on the stage. Renee asks Swerve a couple questions. Swerve says that he is not worried about the Don Callis family. Swerve then promises to hurt Okada at the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. Swerve then says that it's going to be a big match, and that Swerve says that he's going to continue his wrestling legacy. Definitely looking forward to the matchup between Swerve and Okada. And moving on from that, we get into the main event of Dynamite. It is MJF taking on Mark Briscoe. I thought it was a decent match. Back and forth matchup between MJF and Briscoe, with MJF keeping the pace of the match. Mark Briscoe hits a froggy bow for a near fall on MJF. Mark then goes for another froggy bow to the outside, but MJF moves off the table. Mark goes through the table on the outside. This allowed MJF to hit a heat seeker on Briscoe, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is MJF. After the match, MJF attacks Mark Briscoe. He also hits Briscoe with the Dynamite Diamond Ring. After that, Adam Page is here. Adam Page ends up attacking MJF. Couple of things I want to talk about, man, when it pertains to Dynamite before I get the hell up out of here. Was it a good Dynamite? Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys, man. You know, for what it's worth, I've watched Dynamite now for the past 5 years. And I have stressed this to you guys countless weeks, man. The feeling of AEW is dead. It's gone, man. What we had in the beginning of AEW, in the first 3 years of AEW, we're never going to see that again. That was AEW's prime. And you would think, you know, in retrospect, that AEW, it might be on bumpy grounds at the beginning and might progressively get better over time. No, it's progressively getting worse over time. I think AEW in the past 2 to 3 years has been on a steady decline, to be honest with you. We're looking at, as far as ratings, attendance, merchandise sales, pay-per-view buys, is slowly going down, to be honest with you. I mean, you're going from, you know, huge arenas, they can't even fill those arenas, down to, you know, these, I mean, ballrooms, if you will, that can maybe fill 1,100 people, that they're either selling out or not even selling out. I mean, they were just literally in Chicago at the Aragon Ballroom, which I think that place holds a max of 1,100 people, and that's about it. The feeling of AEW is gone. You know, I know people are talking about, like, Will Ospreay and Swerve restoring the feeling. It's going to take a lot more than Swerve and Will Ospreay. With all due respect to both of those guys. I mean, they are phenomenal talents. The feeling in AEW is dead. It's gone, man. I don't think this is going to be something where I think people, including myself, need to realize that what we once had in AEW with the great stories and the stories that we got leading up to these matches, that is no longer going to be the case for AEW. And I feel like a lot of shit in AEW has changed once Tony Khan had signed that new TV rights deal with Time Warner and Warner Media. Where I told you guys, man, that Tony Khan was going to take his foot off the gas, and we're gonna put this shit in cruise control, where he's got his money. He doesn't give a shit anymore. You know what I mean? And clearly that's the case. You know, you look at last night's show, man. I mean, it was all over the goddamn place. And there's a couple things about the show last night that I did not like. Number one, we get to the main event. Mark Briscoe and MJF. Look, I have all the respect in the world for Mark. I really do. I think Mark Briscoe, I mentioned this last week, that I think the Briscoes are one of the most underrated tag teams of all time. And Jay Briscoe is missed. Absolutely. And I'm sorry for what happened to, you know, Mark and his family and what was going on with Jay. It's unfortunate. It's sad. It really is. And a lot of people, including myself, miss Jay Briscoe. And we miss the Briscoes as a tag team. Unfortunately, we're never going to get that again. But it's hard to convince me to, you know, be enthusiastic about a Mark Briscoe run. And the reason why I'm saying that is because Tony Khan and AEW have a really hard time creating story into these matches, to be honest with you. For a prime example, I mean, even when people get behind Mark and they're rooting for Briscoe to win these matches, I remember countless times that he was in the Continental Classic tournament where Tony Khan and AEW made him look like shit. He couldn't even barely get a goddamn win in those Continental Classic tournaments. You know, I mean, it's a shame. It really is. And it's hard for me to really be like, you know what, yeah, Mark's going to become AEW World Champion. I don't think there's a lot of people that really want to see that from Mark Briscoe, to be honest with you. I know MJF was the one that was pulling for this little storyline, if you want to call it that, between him and Mark Briscoe. That's fine. If you're building this as a number one contendership matchup between Mark and MJF and the winner faces off against Adam Page, it's kind of pointless considering the fact that MJF has the contract right now, and seemingly I think he would be the new number one contender to Adam Page's World Heavyweight title. And that's the other thing, too, with Adam Page. Adam Page was in the arena all day long, all night. We didn't see him opening the show. We saw him, 10 minutes closing the show last night, where he confronted MJF after he beat the hell out of Mark Briscoe. I'm sorry, but I feel like the champion should be the vocal point of the show right now, considering the fact that what we went through with Jon Moxley holding that goddamn title hostage for months. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what the direction of where we're going here. And my thing is we're getting to Forbidden Door, and right now on paper, Adam Page doesn't have a match for Forbidden Door. You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know, man. I really don't know. That was one of my sticklers from last night. The other one is Jon Moxley. And I might be the only one on this mountain by myself. Jon Moxley should have took some significant time off after he had lost the title at All In against Adam Page. We don't need to see him back in AEW. We don't need to see the Death Riders needed to take a break. And the fact that not only did he not take a break, we saw him consistently now after All In on Dynamite every single week. And we also saw a title rematch between Moxley and Page recently on Dynamite for the AEW World title after he held the belt for so long and it did nothing. Moxley needed to take some time off. This shit with the Death Riders, it needs to go. It's a dead concept. It's not working. And for those people out there that say AEW and the certain talents in AEW don't have, creative control, you've lost your mind. Jon Moxley has full-on creative control in AEW. He's one of the inmates that run the asylum. Absolutely. The Death Rider shit's not working. It's just not. For those people out there that are fans of the Death Rider situation, the Death Rider shit almost killed this company. And I'm not solely blaming Jon Moxley and the Death Riders, but it played a huge part in the decline of AEW. Absolutely. Absolutely. People were tired of seeing it. People were up in arms about it. People were getting pissed off. We didn't see the AEW title for months on actual AEW television. Like, people were tired of Jon Moxley's shit. And honestly, for what it's worth, I don't think it helped his legacy at all. I really don't. People are tired of seeing Jon Moxley. And yeah, it looks like the way they're building this up is Darby Allin versus Jon Moxley at Forbidden Door. After what happened last night when, Darby attacked Wheeler Yuta. He had Yuta in that, body bag essentially outside in the parking lot. Darby Allin pulls up in, a pickup truck or whatever, or a sedan, honks the horn, and drives off. They help Yuta out, and Yuta has this damn Forbidden Door sign taped to his damn head. So it looks like we are initially going to get Jon Moxley versus Darby Allin one-on-one at Forbidden Door. I'm not against that matchup. And I'm happy that Darby Allin's finally doing something since he's been back, because he was gone for some months so he can climb Mount Everest. You got to get your ass back to work. You know what I mean? And I told you guys before, even with the Adam Page and Jon Moxley world title match that took place at All In, that Darby Allin was going to be the wild card into all that. I don't know what the hell is going on with Darby now. Darby has his sights set on Jon Moxley. And it looks like I said, that match is going to take place at Forbidden Door. We might get another rematch between Darby and Moxley at All Out. That might be a Texas Death Match, or who knows what kind of a coffin match. Who knows what Darby Allin wants to have against Jon Moxley in a possible rematch after Forbidden Door. But obviously that's the way things are looking. But we don't have a match for Adam Page at Forbidden Door. MJF is not scheduled on the card, I don't think, even though he's the current, I think, CMML World Champion, if I'm not mistaken, which I thought it was the middleweight champion, but, I could be wrong on that. But my thing is with AEW is the direction of this company and where it's going. AEW has lost the feeling. The feeling is gone, man. The feeling is dead. It's not there anymore. This company is it's just, I don't know, bro. I don't know what the hell the deal is as far as where the direction of this company is going. We know that Adam Page is the world champion, and I get that. I mean, you look at, the tag team division in AEW is fucking abysmal at this point. There's no tag team. Even with the news and shit that came out about MVP and the fact that he doesn't like, Speedball Mike Bailey, and, MVP says that Hertzenigan don't want to drop the belts to FTR and all this other bullshit, and they'd rather drop the belts to Gates of Agony and yada, yada, yada. There is no tag team division for you to nitpick on who you want to defend those titles against. The Acclaimed are no longer. Private Party has been fucking gone since Hertzenigan smashed them for the AEW tag team titles. They're gone off the scene. Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn are gone. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing. There's no Acclaimed. FTR is there. The Young Bucks are slowly starting to build themselves up in the tag team division, even though they just lost last night against Bandito and Brody King. You have Brody King and Bandito. AEW and Tony Khan are creating these makeshift tag teams that it's not needed. It also takes away from the other championships that are on the roster, whether it's, the Unified Championship or the TNT title. Yeah, you're throwing together makeshift tag teams that don't need to be there. You have Bandito, who's the current Ring of Honor World Champion, teaming up with Brody King. Brody King, unfortunately, is lost in the sauce, which is unfortunate. And no offense, you want to talk about a team that just had a lot of praise in the beginning and just turned to shit, was the House of Black. And we're talking the beginning stages of House of Black. We're talking Malachi Black, Julia Hart, Brody King, Buddy Matthews. Matthews is out. He's injured. He's going to have surgery. Malachi Black essentially left AEW, went over to WWE. The return is Aleister Black. Julia Hart, she's probably the best thing that came out of the entire House of Black stable. to be honest. Brody King's on an island all by himself right now. And my thing is what happens when Buddy Matthews does come back into AEW and he's healthy and he's ready to go? What's going to happen between Brody King and Bandito? That's the other question. You know what I mean? It's just the direction of where this company is going, bro. It's just, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't. To me, I've said this now for months. AEW desperately needs to hit the reset button, and I don't know what the hell that is or when they'll do it. And to be honest with you, I would be shocked when the time comes when they're having TV talks once again, if they're going to get the same money they got in this TV deal they're currently in. Because honestly, I don't think they're worth the money that they're getting. I just don't. And I want AEW to succeed. I want AEW to be around for a very long time. And it's not like they don't have the talent, but they just don't know how to create story. Get people invested in these matches. That's the problem. Tony Khan is booking this shit like it's All Japan Pro Wrestling, like it's back in 1980. It does not work. That concept does not work. It doesn't. And to be honest with you, man, it's just one of those things where it's like, yep, show up, wrestle, get the hell out. People need story, man. I mean, how many times... It's going to get to a point where you're going to start running back these matches over and over and over again with no compelling story, and people are not going to give a shit. That's the problem. That is going to be the issue ultimately for AEW. You know what I mean? And to me, yeah. Tony Khan, everybody's like, oh, he's Mr. Pay-Per-View. Yeah, usually his pay-per-views are pretty damn good. I will give him that. And I've stated that. But when it comes down to weekly episodic television, whether it be a Dynamite or Collision, it fails. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. For what I have seen as of late, and clips of Collision, it seems like Collision is being booked a hell of a lot better than AEW Dynamite. To be honest. Which is crazy, considering the fact that you would think Collision is their B show, and Dynamite would be their A show. That's their main hub. That's their main show, week in and week out, is AEW Dynamite. But the way they're booking Collision, looks like Collision's getting a lot more attention these days than Dynamite, which I think is a humongous problem. Humongous problem. AEW Dynamite is your flagship show. That's the show that you should be mainly focused on week in and week out, because that is your A show. It's like Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. Monday Night Raw is the A show. It always has been. It always will be. And then you got the B show with Friday Night SmackDown. You know what I mean? Raw was always the main show. You know what I mean? Especially if you're looking back at the Monday Night Wars. It was mainly just Monday Night Raw. There was no SmackDown. There was no SmackDown until like early 2000s. Really, I think, or 99. It was, I think, 99 or early 2000s when SmackDown came around. But that's the B show. Monday Night Raw was the main show for WWE. Just like Dynamite is the main show for AEW. You know what I mean? So, like, my thing is my focus would be on the A show. I don't think that's the case, man. I just don't. You know, Tony Khan, and my thing is, and this is the other thing, too, that really pisses me off. That news came out, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, that AEW and Tony Khan's finally doing production meetings before AEW episodes. Where the hell is that happening? A, why now, after 5 years? B, production meetings. Did we see what happened last night with the Sky Blue match in the Fatal 4-Way? When she was trying to land that Code Blue on Queen Aminata on that chair? It was so fucking bad that not only did she not was able to pull off the maneuver, but because she didn't pull off the maneuver, she deliberately hit herself with a chair. Are you fucking kidding me? That's what we're doing here? You figure it the fuck out. And that's the problem, bro. Like, you can tell that some of these talents, they're so green, man. They're green as grass, and it's a problem. I said the same thing about Jade Cargill. You know, a lot of people praised, Jade. But you look at that matchup against Tiffany Stratton at SummerSlam, she's still green as grass, bro. There's no improvement with Jade at all. It's just not there. And I think the reality check smacked her in the face at SummerSlam. You know what I mean? She wanted to go to WWE because she was getting up there in age and she wanted more opportunities than AEW was presenting her at the time. But she can't wrestle. I'm sorry. She can't. I know she went down to the Performance Center and she was training and everything. I think she needs to go back, bro. It's just not there. It's not hitting. It's a problem. It's a huge problem. And AEW is on the same boat. It is. And again, I'm not sitting here, even with Adam Page, I'm not sitting here saying that the guy needs to wrestle every single week on Dynamite. But it'd be nice to see him, sure. We have not, as fans, we have not seen that AEW title in months. Fans want to see it. And if you look at a situation with like WWE compared to AEW, you look at someone like Roman Reigns where either he opens the show or closes the show. Why are we not getting that same treatment for Adam Page right now? With him currently being the AEW World Champion. And my thing is, right now, the only suitable challenger to Adam Page for that title is MJF. Why are we not having back and forth segments between Adam Page and MJF? Why are there not? Where's the promos at? Why are we not building the story between MJF and Adam Page? We all know that he's got the contract where he can sign that contract and cash that in whenever he wants. But there's no, I mean, you can honestly tell me right now who's the next suitable challenger for Adam Page's World Heavyweight Championship. It's not going to be Swerve. Swerve and Page made amends. They're good buddies now. Plus, Swerve has a high-profile matchup in Forbidden Door for the Unified Championship against Okada. So that's out. Will Ospreay is out with injury, so Ospreay's gone. Who's the next suitable challenger to challenge Adam Page for the World Heavyweight title? Right now on paper is MJF. Nobody wants to see Jon Moxley. Adam Page has beat Jon Moxley now twice. And it looks like Jon Moxley has his hands tied with Darby Allin. There is nobody else, bro. There is nobody else that's going to be a suitable enough challenger to challenge Adam Page for the World Heavyweight title. And that's a problem. You know what I mean? So who else do you have? You have MJF. Let's start building that story. Obviously, there's some unfinished business here between MJF and Adam Page. Let's run it back. Why not? You know what I mean? Like, you need something to bring the fans in, to be honest with you. We saw Mercedes Moné last night. You know what I mean? Like, who in her 8 title, like, her 8 championships, that mean jack shit. And like I said, for the people that think that certain talent in AEW don't have creative control, you have lost your fucking mind. Copeland's got it. Moxley's got it. Mercedes Moné definitely fucking has it. Come on, bro. I mean, even if you look at the situation with MVP, saying that Hurt Syndicate are not going to drop the belts to FTR, supposedly. Come on, man. Who's the boss here? Like, honestly. Tony Khan writes the checks. He hands the checks out. Let's be the boss. Stop sharing White Claws with these talents and actually be a boss. Stop going to the bar, having some White Claws, and sharing, old pro wrestling stories with these talents. You need to be a boss. No, you're having the inmates run the asylum. You're having your employees telling you how this shit's going to work. That's not the way it works, man. As far as MVP is concerned, if he were to leave AEW, would I shed a tear over it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And people have even said that for Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, people are still waiting for Bobby Lashley to have a singles run. Okay, but what is that going to do for Shelton Benjamin? Because the way it's looking, it looks like we will be seeing, at one point, Bobby Lashley versus MJF. Which I'm not against that matchup. But what does that do for Shelton? Is Shelton going to go after the TNT title? Is he going to have a decent singles run? Because I think Shelton Benjamin is severely underrated. Well, where are you putting Shelton on the card? With Bobby Lashley. Because right now, the Hurt Syndicate are the best thing going right now in AEW. You know what I mean? So, again, it's... Maybe AEW probably backed themselves in a corner. They don't know what the hell to do. That's the problem. And for me, like I said earlier, man, for people that are waiting patiently for AEW to restore the feeling, I think that feeling is gone and dead, man. I don't see them bringing that feeling back. I told you guys before, man, personally for me, I think AEW made a turn for the worst, I would say, after Sting's retirement tour. Things started slowly changing for the worst, in my opinion. Everything leading up to Sting's retirement tour was great for AEW. Absolutely awesome. After that, man, things changed drastically. Drastically for AEW. And it hasn't got better. It's progressively gotten worse. Talents are, pissed off. Talents are, voicing their opinion backstage. Altercations are happening backstage. It's not a good look for AEW. And my standpoint's the same. I mean, you heard the interview that Cody Rhodes had talking about AEW. Obviously, there's some bad blood there. I think Tony Khan, and I will say this until the end of time, I think when Tony Khan brought in CM Punk, Tony Khan probably thought that this was their ace in the hole. And rightfully so. He's a huge draw for professional wrestling. Absolutely. No matter where CM Punk goes, fans are going to gravitate to wherever the hell he goes. So when they brought him in, I'm pretty sure Tony Khan probably thought, you know what, this is my ace in the hole. This is going to be the guy that's going to take us to the mountaintop, and we're going to surpass WWE. And we all saw what happened and what took place and what ultimately happened with CM Punk and AEW. The ultimate falling out, if you will. Ever since that also happened, things changed drastically for AEW as well. It has not been the same. It has not. And unfortunately, I don't think AEW is ever going to get back to its old glory days ever again. I think that ship has sailed. I think what we see now is what we're going to get for the foreseeable future for AEW until either something changes or AEW closes up shop. And that's about it. And just that mindset alone is insane to think that this is all we're going to get from AEW for the foreseeable future, man, because it's not, the future is not looking bright for AEW at all at this very moment. But with that being said, this is my review of AEW's Dynamite. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.